Good morning, everybody. It's morning here. Definitely morning. It's cold out there. Good old coffee. But it's frosty again today. But it's supposed to be nice weather for the next 2 or 3 days. For January, that's nice. Got my phone bill yesterday. Power bill yesterday. I took a couple energy cuts to see if I could get my bill down a little bit because it goes up this time of year, of course. And it was down $5, so I got a little bit off. What we were doing is we've got these heating blankets, and I have one in my shop, and she has one in the bedroom. And she actually is really toasty. She actually turns her heater off most of the time because the blanket's warm enough. She doesn't need the heater on in the bedroom. It stays nice and comfortable. Once you get the edge off of it, turn off the heater, it doesn't get cold real fast in that room. And she throws that heating blanket over top of her, and come there, she snort away. She's happy with the place. At nighttime we do the same thing. Body heat in the blanket was basically what we're using. But it did bring the bill down a little bit. I mean, I gotta admit that. It went down $5 down, and it was lower than it was last year because, the bill shows you on the paper, it shows you the previous January and this January on a graph. And it showed it being a smidgen higher last year than this year. So it did go down some. Not a lot, but a little bit. I originally started with heating blankets when I started looking into a solar generator. And heaters use a lot of power, obviously. They're bigger drain than most. Lots of other things in the house drain less power than the heater does. A microwave, for example. All your lights, almost all lights in your house would generate the same as one heater. They're power. They use a lot of power. But a solar generator only has so much power. Well, I thought they recommended a heating blanket instead of a heater because the heating blanket doesn't use a fraction of the power that the heater uses. It's like 10 times less. And I thought, well, we'll get a couple and try it out. And I thought it would drop the heating bill more than it would, but it did do a little bit. But the key thing was that with a solar generator, you could plug a light in, charge up your this Chromebook, your telephone, and run a heating blanket for a whole day. A whole day, that generator will run on just those things being plugged into it. Actually, almost close to 2 days. So that was basically it for an emergency situation where the power goes out, because it does here occasionally. And it's miserable. It's always in the winter. You're sitting there freezing to death, waiting for the power to come on, and I've had to wait as long as 3 days for power to come back on. This place, for some reason, this street will go out, and I'll see lights next street over, and I'll see lights next street over. Just this street's dark. And it's not even a long street. We're on a dead-end street. It only got 2 blocks, and they're black. Well, at least this, now if they do something like that, I know at least for 2 days I wouldn't have to worry about being cold. And it's solar generator. If I get enough sunlight, I can charge it back up. I tried already. I got a little bit of a charge, but I think it's because it's winter and the sun's kind of in the wrong spot, and it was only up for a short amount of time. It really didn't give me a good charge. We'll find out in the summer how well it works. It may work real well. I may be able to cut the power bill down a little bit again. It was mainly for emergency situations. But this Chromebook, it's not a very expensive one, and it's already starting to be where it doesn't keep a charge very long, like 6 hours. So when we went up to visit her son up in Washington, we plugged it into, took it with us. It had this plugged into it, and all the way up to above Seattle, back here, which was at least a 6-hour drive round trip. It only gone down like 10%, maybe 20%, I think 20%. That long traveling. But it was just charging this up. So, it wasn't like it was charging a whole bunch. But it was nice. I didn't have to worry about the power, on my going dead on me because anyway, I guess you could plug it into the lighter if you got an adapter for it. I hadn't thought about that. But anyway, it worked. I think I'm gonna buy the one I got right now is I think it's a $500 model, and it's like 1 kilowatt or something like that. It's not too bad. Like I said, it does quite a bit, but you can get they're heavy is the problem. That thing weighs at least 50 pounds. I mean, it's heavy. This is all the batteries in it. It's charged up. They're heavy charged batteries. This thing lasts for 10 years, constantly being recharged for a full 3,000 charges, and still would work, but wouldn't charge as much. That's pretty impressive. So, I think it'll pay for itself eventually, and just inconvenience and other things will do. $500 isn't too much to ask. I probably went a little less if I hadn't got the solar panels. I think it would have been more like $300. But they got the $150 version. It's a small one. It's probably a little bit bigger than this, but it'd be a lot lighter and be more convenient to use for toting around. So I think, and another thing that worried me was you could see it in the back seat. Somebody walking by, say, "Hey, a solar generator." Might break a window just to take the solar generator. I mean, not very expensive, but it's a nice item to have. I had it covered up with stuff so it wasn't visible, but I was still worried about it. A little guy like that, I could tote it with me wherever I go. I don't have to leave it in the car behind me, And I think since it would probably last long enough, say, to go to Portland and back easily on charge. And I could charge it up at her place in Portland. She has an apartment in Portland. I could charge it up there and fully charged and ready to go again. And it's got a little thing on the top where you put your phone down and it charges your phone up. So it's kind of a nice little gadget to have for that. And it's a little more power on it we have to work with. It probably could extend out the things to keep us going to 3 days. And only have to go someplace that's got power, and within an hour, have them both completely charged up again, and away we go again. So, I mean, like, I could run into Lebanon to my friend's house, and if they had power, she would let me charge up things, take them back home. I know for sure she would. So, anyway, today I gotta go back into the doctor for a minute. He's had me check my blood pressure for the last 2 weeks, and I turned that in today. The sheet. I learned about this magnesium when it's too late to, hopefully drop my blood pressure. If I take the magnesium, it's supposed to lower your blood pressure. Even if it dropped at say 5%, 5 marks from like 120 over 80 down to 115 over 75, that's considered normal. Right now, I'm sitting right at this pre-stage for risk factors. It's high, but it's not enough to cause a heart attack or hopefully a stroke. But if this dropped me down a little bit more, then the risk goes down even more or less. And I have more chance of not having a stroke or a heart attack. I've had one of those. I've had a stroke. It's also supposed to help you sleep better. I don't know. I go through phases. Sometimes I'll sleep until 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning. And there's other times I'll wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm in one of those phases right now. I woke up at 7 again today. So it's supposed to make you sleep deeper and more restful. So if I pop that before I went to bed, maybe it let me sleep till, say, 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. That's when I'd like to get up. It's early enough for my book. Yeah, a lot of people get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, but the telephone is ringing. But 9 out of 10 times this is 99% of times it's just spam. They wonder why people don't answer their phones. Because there's so much spam, you just kind of ignore it after a while. Anyway, so hopefully I think magnesium will help. My girlfriend takes it, and she said, "Well, have one of mine tonight." I popped one of hers, so I'll go by to Walmart after the doctor thing. I'll grab a bottle. I get at least 30 pills, so I can try it for a month. Kind of feel bad because I've listened to several, people talk about it, and there's certain things, versions of this magnesium that aren't very good and you shouldn't take. And her magnesium has both things you're not supposed to have in your magnesium to make it powerful. And it was low amounts of zinc. It's only 300 milligrams, whereas they're recommending 400, 500, even 600 milligrams of it. So I didn't say anything. I wasn't embarrassed. It works for her. She sleeps a lot. So I don't think she needs anything to make her let her sleep even more. So I'm not going to say anything. But I definitely picked that up. Really what you want is just something that says zinc, magnesium. I mean, not zinc. It just says magnesium. There's a word for it. There's another part of that. But just one type of magnesium. I can't remember the second part. And that's it. Nothing added to it. No fillers. Some of those fillers. Nothing like that. Because you take those, you get like 1%. You get like 4 or 5% of the pill goes in your system. The rest of it you pee right back out. It doesn't do any good. Oh, well, it does you good, but it doesn't do as good as if you had pure magnesium. So you gotta be careful of that. YouTube has a whole bunch of articles you can listen to on it. I can't quite remember the name of what the kind is that you're supposed to take. So I'm sorry about that. But if you go on YouTube or even on the internet and look it up, it'll tell you what's the best zinc to take. I don't want to say zinc for magnesium. And I haven't tried it yet, so I can't really recommend it. I just, it could be all hype. They throw things out lots of times to sell products. And you end up finding out they're not really nothing to them. They're not that good. They don't do what they do. Good old-fashioned multivitamins, your best bet most times for, helping me feel better. But I do take different pills to help lower my blood pressure and keep me going. So there is some merit in some things. And there's some pains too. I mean, I take one pill that causes me to go to the bathroom a lot, pee a lot. And the doctor says that's what it's supposed to do because some reason the fact of moving the fluids to your body quicker, it causes your heart to beat better and lowers your blood pressure. Okay. It's a pain in the butt. You gotta pee every couple hours like you're about to die, but you run in and go pee and you get a little trickle and that's that. Worries me because there's a lot of wear and tear on the old kidneys. And even he's mentioned that eventually may have to change something different because it might be too much for my kidneys to tolerate. That's nice to know. Nothing new to worry about. Getting old is not fun. I do not want. If you're young, don't be in a hurry to be old. It is not fun. Do everything you do. Exercise. Keep in good shape. Try to be young as long as you can. That's like I say. I didn't feel old until I had my stroke. I was in my mid-50s. And I didn't feel old. I felt fine. I felt like I always felt. I still wanted to go out and run 10 miles and long distance run and stuff. I was 55 years old. I didn't feel old. But I had that darn stroke, and now I feel old. So my body doesn't want to work like it used to. So, stay young as long as you can. Getting old is not horrible. It's just not fun. is there's pains involved in it. Lots of things don't work quite as well. You got to work around it. You know, my whole life's been working around stuff. Being poor taught me that. I was raised not poor, but what my grandma used to call middle poor, upper poor. We weren't quite middle class level, but we're on the edge of it. They had most things middle class families had, but we couldn't just go out and get them. We had to save, so it taught us to appreciate things. But I found I always go for the cheapest way I can do something. Cheapest, good. It works good, not break cheap. But, cheap. It works good. Well, I know I'm wrong, but it's like this morning I made some clay, and as soon as I get this clay to work real good, I'll tell you about how to do it and make it and stuff. But I'm still working with it to where it works better. I'm having some issues with it. Part of it's because it's so cold. If it was summertime, I'd probably have a lot less problems. But even leaving it in the bedroom with her where it's warm, excuse me, it's not quite doing what it's supposed to be doing. It's curling up on the edges. And I'm working on get to where it'll curl up its edges and more. I come up with 2 more ideas to try. I'll try those out. I made a batch this morning so I could try these 2 new ideas out. But the point I'm making is, it doesn't cost much. I could go buy factory-made clay, and it probably would work better. I may end up doing that, but if I can make it by scratch from cheap ingredients, I'll do that. I mean, it's in it basically is cornstarch and kids glue, and it makes a nice clay. So, which I'm sure it's perfectly fine for the kids to play with. But it's supposed to set up like as an air clay, so that's what I'm trying to make it do. But it's inexpensive. I mean, less than $1 for a box of cornstarch, and 50 cents for a bottle of glue. So for $1 basically, I'm making this batch of clay, where it's that'd probably be about. I've seen some inexpensive clay which was around, about the same. I may go that route. You can buy kids clay for $5 a batch. I don't know if it's as good as the artist quality clay. Again, it'd be something to work with and see if it's just basic what I'm doing now or if it's better. I've invested enough time and labor in trying to make the objects that I would probably go up to more expensive item. I just wouldn't make very many of them because they're kind of spendy, but I would still make them. The roller pin that leaves an image in there of an owl is really pretty. It just isn't quite setting up correctly. That's all. I'll keep working with it. So anyway, I think I'll leave off on that. I'll talk to more tomorrow. Be good to each other. When you do something nice for somebody, it comes back. I honestly believe it comes back. If nothing else, it makes you feel nice. It makes you feel good. It gives you a good day to know you did something for somebody. The other day, I'll end on this. The other day, I was at the post office for her. She went and checked her mail. She has a mailbox. And there's this little Spanish lady standing off to one side, very politely. You could tell she was wanting money. She was holding up these flowers that she'd made. So she had made a product. She wasn't just had a sign saying, "Give me money." She actually had a product. And everybody was basically walking past her, ignoring her. Just back and forth. Not even looking at what she's doing. Nothing. Just kind of like, oh, well, it's a homeless person. We ignore those. I honestly don't do much for the ones who have signs, because lots of times they're not off as bad as they say they are, or they just want drugs, or, it's got a bad rep. Probably shouldn't do it. I should at least put $1 in their cup, I guess. But I felt bad for her. I really did. And when my girlfriend came out of the post office, I handed her a $10 bill. I said, "Go give this to that girl. Don't have to take anything. Just give her $10. She's trying real hard to make some money. She's not just begging. She's actually selling something with it." And she came back with 2 flowers, and she said, "The girl insists on giving you one for $5 each." And I go, okay. They're still in the car, as a decoration, but I did it because it made me feel good. I felt bad for her. You know, she wasn't that old. She's probably like college age. It hopefully it bought her a pound of hamburger or something for the night. To feed her or her family. Who knows if she has a family or whatever. So, but it made me feel good. See, I did something nice for somebody. I eventually think it'll come back to me. And I don't do it for that reason either. I did it because it made me feel good. So if you can do something good for somebody, do so. As long as it makes you feel good. All right. Talk to you later.